Book Summary: A Wonderful Life, Reflections on Achieving a Meaningful Existence. Written by Frank Martella. No. Man by nature longs for his life to have meaning and importance. But a small or big event may occur. It makes the idea of meaning crack in his life. When was life lost? Is it useful for you the first time? Is it while you are preparing food or after your encounter? A tragedy that completely changed your life? If you have experienced this feeling, it's okay, you are not alone. There are many great thinkers and philosophers who suffered from losing the answer to the meaning of life. The most prominent of them is Viktor Frankl, the famous psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, losing his wife and parents in it. He ended up alone in Nazi camps. But he was able to create a meaningful life that motivates him to continue. And you too? If you have lost your compass on the meaning of life, regardless of your cultural background or religious beliefs, the thoughtful and easy methods I present to you here will help you find special meaning in your life. Chapter 1. The absurdity of life is characterized as trivial, fleeting, and capricious. Is there really a meaning to this life? A person may wonder, staring at the sky connected to a larger universe. He longs for his life to have meaning and value. But it seems as if this vast universe is turning its back on this tiny being, and mocking the fact that he, or his life, has any value. Hence, man lives this existential dilemma. When you lose the ability to explain why your actions are worth doing in the first place, or as the American philosopher described it, it is the confrontation between our feeling of needing meaning and the universe's unwillingness to give it to us. This existential dilemma reaches its peak when he is not connected to a solid social framework that explains the purpose and meaning of his life, so the individual becomes obligated to search for his own way of living. Although life is by nature trivial, fleeting, and capricious, this existential dilemma can be dealt with by building a universal vision that confronts the unreasonableness of life, by which we mean its randomness. It is a vision that helps a person create value and meaning for his life, and live a life as he desires. We do not mean a wonderful life that is linked to achieving happiness. Happiness is just a positive feeling, not a goal of life. While personal values and life goals can add real value and meaning to our lives. But you may wonder, what makes a person search for the meaning of his life in the first place? It is the ability to think. It is the blessing that allows us to return to the past, strengthens the idea of meaning, and takes us towards the future, giving us hope that adds meaning to human life. However, thinking without purpose and direction can turn into a curse due to feelings of emptiness and unanswered questions about meaning. The philosopher Eric Fromm believes that this crisis in modern man exists because of his separation from society and being given the freedom for self-achievement. Although some celebrated this freedom, and with it a sense of meaning and security, and although our lives were our hope for it, we found it full of meaning. All we have to do is look for sources that enhance that meaning, but what is the basis that makes a person lose his sense of meaning? Chapter 2. Both the scientific revolution and romantic thought influenced the question of the meaning of life. Do you believe in the existence of electricity? You may think that this question is ridiculous, as long as its answer is confirmed by all people today. We firmly believe that electricity exists even if we cannot see it. With the same certainty, but 500 years ago, the answer to the question, "Do you believe in God?" was certain. For humans, the universe was governed by God, and the meaning of life was determined by what He wanted from our existence. However, at some point in the 17th century, the view on the universe began to return more to science, and the universe began to be seen as mechanical and empty of meaning, and this made us wonder about the meaning of life. However, science and religion were not antithetical from the beginning. On the contrary, as the scientific revolution developed to reveal God's way of engineering the universe, and that is what Isaac Newton did, who was trying to decipher the divine code, but the scientific revolution quickly strangled its origin and broke its connection with God. And from here, atheism began, even sharing a fire in a dry thorn forest, and decisions that were discussed at the policy and work levels were made based on scientific knowledge, not divine revelation. If we can say that the new scientific vision of the universe was the reason for the emergence of Sally, what is the meaning of life as a kind of compensation for what we lost in terms of clear answers provided to us by religions and supernaturalism? With the rise of scientific thought that changed the cosmic vision and separated it from the supernatural world, thought appeared. The romantic who preaches that life has meaning and that each of us has a purpose, but we must follow our hearts. Hollywood movies and pop songs reinforced this idea by emphasizing that love is the answer to everything, and that you should not give up the least you deserve, whether in relationships or work. With the promises of the romantics that conflicted with reality, along with the rise of the scientific revolution and our separation from religion, the conflict emerged that led to the existential crisis, which in its meaning, yearns for a purpose in life. But what really makes us feel the meaning of life? Chapter 3. A subjective meaning to life can be created through personal experiences that make us feel meaningful. What if we discovered that life from a universal point of view has no meaning? Is this the end? Actually, no. Even if there is no meaning to life, a person can search for meaning in life. That is, he creates values and goals that guide him to make his life a meaningful life. This can be done by looking at our small life experiences that make us feel meaningful, like warm love for a good friend after a long absence, or cooking a delicious meal for your family, or accomplishing something great at your job. It is up to you to choose the experiences that are most meaningful to you, so that you can think about life choices that will give you more of these experiences in the future. However, the reality of death and illness may collide head-on with the meaning in life, so what is the benefit of all this? If we are going to die in the end? In fact, awareness of the idea of death should make our lives more meaningful and valuable because we will be certain that our time on this earth is temporary, which makes us appreciate the value of our present days and moments, and this leads us to make life choices that make the rest of our lives more worthy. The fourth chapter. Satisfying psychological needs helps to live a life full of meaning. Each of us has his own unique way of finding meaning in things. A person's evening to watch his favorite teen with his friends may be what gives him the most meaning to life and makes it worth living. The sources of meaning are produced by our individual history, which we can distinguish through the quality of appreciation, meaning that we have the ability to test the values through which we find meaning, which we use as a compass that guides our decisions, and also makes us adhere to social and moral laws. But how can you determine those values that give your life meaning? The best way to do this is to adopt these values by satisfying human psychological needs. According to the theory of self-determination, co-developed by university professors Edward D.C. and Richard Ryan, there are three basic psychological needs. First, independence, that the source of your choices be your will, and that you live your life according to special preferences. Secondly, it is worth feeling that you are distinguished in your life and confident in your capabilities. Finally, connection means feeling connected to others, such that you care about them and they care about you. When these three basic needs are satisfied, you will be able to experience a life full of meaning. But I believe there must be a fourth element as well, which is benevolence, which means doing good to others and influencing them positively. Although my research does not confirm that benevolence is a basic psychological need, it does contribute significantly to a person's sense of meaning. How does helping others really affect our sense of meaning? Chapter 5, Close relationships and helping others are an essential path to a life full of meaning. George Bailey, the main character in the movie Life is Wonderful, was about to commit suicide on Christmas Eve due to his despair of life, but his life changed when the angel and Clarence Odd Buddy appeared to him, who was about to drown in the water, so that George could save him, forgetting his plan to commit suicide. After telling his story to Clarence, the latter brings him into another reality to show him what the world would be like without him, and without people like him who are merciful. George sees what his loved ones will suffer after he is gone, so he decides to abandon his desire to commit suicide and return for the sake of the people he cares for and who care for him. George realized that meaning in life revolves around making his existence meaningful to others. We are social beings. We need a sense of belonging to others, so when we feel that we are bringing us with us to others around us, such as family, friends, and acquaintances, we increase our ability to feel meaning in our own lives. While social exclusion leads to a lack of meaning. You can invest in your relationships with your family and children, and even if you don't have a family, we are in an age where we have the ability to join communities that fit our outlook on life, such as work or study. However, our relationship with others is not the only relationship that increases our sense of meaning. Chapter 6. A person's connection to himself helps increase his sense of meaning and intrinsic value. Is it enough to be connected to others in order to feel meaningful? In fact, it is not enough. We must also be connected to ourselves, feeling that we have the freedom to choose the path of our life, which brings us in touch with our truth, and thus live a life of value and meaning. Even in restricted times in the world, such as when a person is exposed to imprisonment or tragic events, such as the death of people he loves, he has the freedom to choose to react to this difficult event. It is a freedom that no one can take away from him. When he reaches this level of mental peace, which cannot be reached easily, no external event will be able to disturb his inner calm. Mastering any skill or talent is a rich source of meaning, whether those skills relate to the more extraordinary areas such as sports or the arts, or merely the mastery of less established feats, such as climbing Mount Everest or sailing around the world. However, achieving a life full of meaning must achieve two main paths, namely communication with oneself, which is achieved with authenticity and mastery. Communication with others is achieved through close relationships and positive influence. You can build these two paths and link them according to your own interests, skills, and values. If you possess the skill of public speaking, and you enjoy performing it, it will lead you to self-realization, and when you use it to defend an important cause in society, you will thus achieve the path of communication with others. These two paths carry together the human psychological needs for autonomy, worthiness, relatedness, and benevolence, and when satisfied according to your criteria, you will lead to a truly meaningful life. A notable paragraph from the book. Meaning is not something distant or rare, it is an experience that occurs in many of our daily moments in a stronger or weaker form. Emily Isfahan Smith, author of The Power of Meaning, argues that meaning is not some great revelation. It's standing up to say hello to the newsboy and reaching out to someone at work who looks depressed. It's helping people get into shape. Better, be a good parent or mentor to the child. Conclusion. It is true that life, by its nature, is fleeting and trivial, and does not have meaning in itself, and although the scientific revolution makes the universe an empty place, romantic thought promises you to create meaning in its own way. It is up to you to create meaning in your life, by building your resurrection and linking it with the things that bring you gain, satisfaction, and meaning, also by building strong relationships with others, so that you influence them and they influence you, and finally by building an authentic relationship with yourself, so that you learn to be free and able to deal with this life and create meaning and purpose for your life.